He was begging me not to tell his wife. Sweat poured down his forehead as he paced across the cheap hotel room, the smell of stale air freshener and panic thick in the air. His voice cracked. "Please," he stammered, I'll promote you again. Double your pay. Just, don't do this." I didn't even blink. I just stood there, arms crossed, holding the photos in one hand and the flash drive in the other. The photos were damning. The flash drive? Even worse. Behind him, the woman he'd been sneaking around with was still scrambling to zip up her pencil skirt, mascara streaked down her cheek. She couldn't even look me in the eye. "You remember last Thursday?" I asked, voice calm, almost eerily quiet. "When you told me I wasn't team material. When you humiliated me in front of the entire office." He stopped pacing. Swallowed. Hard. "This is for Thursday." I dropped the photos on the bed. They fluttered like feathers, face up. His face. Her face. Room number. Time stamps. "I'm sending everything to HR. And to your wife." "Oh, and the board." He lunged at me. Too late. I was already out the door. It all started like a dream. I landed the job 6 months after graduating, and honestly, I thought I hit the jackpot. Mid-sized tech firm. Decent pay. A sleek downtown office with floor-to-ceiling windows. They even had free kombucha on tap, which I never drank, but still, symbolically impressive. My manager at the time was a guy named Paul. Mid-40s, fake tan, slick hair, and a Rolex that sparkled like it was auditioning for attention. He gave off that cool boss vibe, high fives in meetings, beer Fridays, little motivational quotes taped to his laptop. At first, I liked him. He took me under his wing. Said I had potential. He'd wink and say, "Stick with me, kid. We'll run this place in a year." I believed him. I was hungry, ambitious, willing to work late nights, weekends, whatever it took. And for a while, things were good. I got recognition, bonuses, a nice little corner in the open floor plan. But the deeper I got, the more cracks I noticed. Weird budget approvals, promotions that made no sense. And the way Paul treated the women on the team? Subtle, but slimy. He'd lean too close, compliment their outfits, laugh a little too long at their jokes. One girl, Jenna, transferred departments after he kept calling her Sunshine. Another, Ray, started working remotely right after a team trip to Vegas. But no one said anything. HR was practically invisible. And Paul? He was untouchable. The golden boy of upper management. I kept my head down, kept grinding. Until one Friday morning, the beginning of the unraveling. I came into the office early, sun barely up, streets still quiet, because I had a system migration scheduled before the team came online. That's when I saw them. Paul and Ava, the new marketing lead. They didn't see me. I was by the copy room, mostly hidden behind one of those giant industrial printers. They were in his office. Lights low, door slightly open. And they were kissing. Not a casual goodbye kind of kiss. Not workplace appropriate. Definitely not something either of their spouses would be okay with. I froze. Then I slipped out. Quiet as a whisper. And that was the moment everything started to change. After that morning, everything felt different. I couldn't unsee it. Paul and Ava. In his office. The kiss. The way he touched her waist like he'd done it 100 times before. I came back to my desk and just stared at my screen for a while. My hands hovered over the keyboard, trying to act normal, but my mind was racing. Was this a one-time thing? Was I imagining it? Was it even my business? I told myself I'd let it go. And for a while I did. Or at least I tried. But then Paul started acting strange. Like, really strange. He stopped calling me into meetings. Projects I was supposed to lead got reassigned, quietly, without explanation. I'd come in early, stay late, but get left out of key emails. Even Ava stopped making eye contact. It was like I'd suddenly become invisible. Then came the real gut punch. Monday morning, 9:17 a.m. I remember the exact time. Paul called me into his office. His usual smugness was gone. He looked formal. "I've been reviewing your recent performance," he began, not even looking me in the eye, "and I think it's time for a restructure." He spun some BS about team balance, resource distribution, and morale. Then he said the words, "We're moving you to part-time." Just like that. From full-time leadership track to part-time nobody. No severance. No option. Just bam. Done. I remember sitting there, stunned. My mouth opened, but no words came out. I could see Ava at her desk through the glass wall. She was typing, pretending not to hear. "Any questions?" he asked, like this was some routine performance review. I said nothing, just stood up, walked out, numb. The humiliation didn't hit until later. After I got home. After I sat in silence for an hour, staring at the wall. He knew I saw them. That wasn't a restructure. That was damage control. He was getting rid of me before I became a problem. I wasn't just an employee anymore. I was a threat. And that's when I knew. Paul wasn't going to stop. So maybe I shouldn't either. They expected me to crawl away quietly. Instead, I got smarter. After the demotion, I kept my head low. I still showed up on time. Still did my job. Smiled in the hallway. Nodded in meetings, even the ones I wasn't supposed to be in but was accidentally forwarded the link to. I became a ghost with a notepad. Every time Paul slipped. Every awkward interaction between him and Ava. Every odd decision, documented. Dates. Times. Details. Always backed up to my personal drive. I never used company devices. Not once. But the rail break came from an unexpected place. It was Ray. The woman who'd switched to remote after that Vegas trip. We weren't close, but we had mutual respect. She was smart. Quiet. Professional. One evening, I stayed late to avoid traffic. Ray did too. We ended up in the break room at the same time. I made a casual comment about how things had gotten weird around the office, testing the waters. She glanced around, then said, almost under her breath, "You saw something too, didn't you?" I just nodded. She hesitated, then sat down across from me. "You know why I work from home now?" "No." "Because Paul tried something. After a conference dinner. Thought I owed him something for giving me a raise." My stomach twisted. "He backed off," she said, "but HR didn't do a thing when I reported it." 2 weeks later, they offered me the remote option and asked me to sign an NDA. I didn't, but I took the deal. My blood ran cold. She wasn't the only one. Over the next few weeks, I pieced together whispers. Confessions. Unfinished sentences in the elevator. Eyes darting, lips sealed, but there was a pattern. Paul wasn't just having an affair. He was a predator. And HR? They were either blind or complicit. That's when the plan began to form. Not revenge. Not yet. Just justice. With teeth. And I had no idea just how deep this was going to go. The first rail crack appeared on a Tuesday. I was helping a junior dev with a bug in our internal tool system. Just routine stuff, script cleanup, optimization, boring as hell. But while combing through the back end, I noticed something strange. An account labeled A. Stone. I didn't recognize the name. It wasn't in the team directory. No profile picture. But it had payroll activity, monthly transfers, steady as a heartbeat. Except, I couldn't find a single task assigned to them. No logins. No emails. Nothing. A ghost. I dug a little deeper. Turns out, A. Stone wasn't the only one. There were at least 3 ghost employees. Names no one in the office had ever heard. All of them quietly drawing salaries. All of them hired under Paul's approval. And the best part? One of the bank accounts linked to the deposits matched a travel reimbursement I had submitted months ago. I recognized the last 4 digits. That was Paul's personal account. He was funneling fake salaries to himself. It felt like standing on a fault line, moments before the earthquake. Suddenly, everything made sense. The lavish lunches, the Rolex, the budget cuts, the reason he needed loyal silence from Ava and HR. He wasn't just screwing around. He was embezzling. I downloaded everything I could, screenshots, payroll logs, access histories. Encrypted it. Made backups. But I knew I couldn't act yet. Not without something that would stick. Not without something that couldn't be brushed under the rug. And that's when Ava handed me the match. Unintentionally. It was late again. She came into the office flustered, holding a keycard. She didn't see me tucked in the conference room corner, headphones in, laptop open. She was muttering to herself, talking into her phone. He said he'd handle it, she whispered, pacing. He said the board would never find out. He promised I'd get the marketing VP role if I just kept quiet. I froze. She left just as quickly as she came. But now I had something new. She was promised a promotion, to stay quiet. I started recording. Every time I saw them together. Every closed-door conversation. I logged it all. Cross-referenced it with project changes and suspicious raises. The pattern was damning. But it still wasn't enough. Until I met a man named Julian. And Julian used to be the company's internal auditor. Fired 6 months ago. Right after he started asking questions. Julian looked like a man who had aged 10 years and 6 months. We met at a diner off the highway, neutral ground, away from city years. He slid into the booth across from me, dark circles under his eyes, laptop bag slung over one shoulder like it weighed 100 pounds. You sure no one followed you? He asked before we even ordered. That's when I knew he was scared. And I should be too. Julian used to be the company's internal auditor. Sharp guy. Military background. Excel wizard. He'd worked there for 4 years, trusted by the CFO, until he started noticing the same thing I did. Ghost salaries. Irregular reimbursements. Unlogged transactions. He brought it up in a quarterly report, quietly, by the book. A week later, he was fired for insubordination. No warning. No explanation. Just escorted out. They didn't just let me go, he said. They wiped my drive. Blocked my access. Made it look like I never worked there. My name is gone from the company intranet. I handed him my flash drive under the table. Payroll logs. Access timestamps. Copies of what I'd found. He plugged it in. Scanned it. His eyebrows shot up. This is more than I ever got. Holy hell. Over the next hour, he walked me through what he'd seen and what he suspected. Paul had created a shell system within the payroll infrastructure, using inactive employee credentials to divert money into personal accounts. Some belonged to former interns. Others might have never existed. And Ava? She wasn't just covering for Paul. She was listed as an approver on 3 of the ghost accounts. She's in on it, Julian said flatly, sipping his cold coffee. Deep. We sat in silence for a while, the clink of silverware around us the only sound. Then Julian leaned in. You want to bring him down? He asked. I nodded. Good. Because I've been waiting for a second shot. And just like that, we became a team. Me, the inside man. Julian, the ghost from the past. We started mapping everything, documents, dates, connections, whistleblower protections, even media contacts in case we needed to go nuclear. But we needed a smoking gun. Something irrefutable. And as fate would have it, it was about to walk right into my lap. It happened by pure accident. A Thursday afternoon. Mid-meeting. I was sitting quietly in the back of the conference room, half listening, half doing admin work on my laptop while Paul led yet another one of his innovation talks. It was all corporate fluff. PowerPoint slides, recycled buzzwords, the usual. Then I got a Slack message from Ava. Can you pull the last client dashboard export for Paul? Needs it by 4. I sighed, clicked the shared drive, and opened the directory Paul always used /internal_docs/client_exports. But something was different. There was a new folder, unlabeled, time-stamped just 10 minutes ago. Maybe Paul uploaded something last minute. Maybe he didn't realize what he was doing. I clicked. Inside were PDFs, dozens of them. Scans of handwritten receipts. Hotel bookings. Consulting contracts with signatures that looked suspiciously alike. And then, buried in a subfolder, something that made my blood turn to ice. A scanned copy of a check. Signed by Paul. Made out to Ava. For $1,000. Memo. For discretion. I didn't breathe. Just hit download. Disguised it in a zipped folder. Backed it up on an encrypted drive. Then another subfolder caught my eye. Internal, delete after review. I opened it. Inside, a spreadsheet. Names, dates, payment amounts, notes like, met at hotel, no paper trail. Raise promised, no witnesses. Paid bonus, silence. It wasn't just Ava. There were 3 other names on that list. And at least 2 of them were current employees. This wasn't an affair. This was systemic. A network of hush money, hush promotions, hush silence. Paul had created a pay-to-play empire within the company. And Ava wasn't his pawn, she was his partner. I sat in that conference room, heart pounding, as Paul clicked to the next slide like nothing was wrong. That moment? That was it. The point of no return. Because now, I had the match. And I was going to burn it all down. Her name was Nia. She was on the list. One of the employees Paul had marked with Raise promised, no witnesses. She worked in data compliance. Quiet, meticulous, always wore oversized headphones like armor. I'd never seen her talk to Paul unless absolutely necessary. But there she was, right on that spreadsheet, with a bonus payout that didn't line up with any official announcement. No project milestone. No performance reward. Just silence money. I approached her carefully. One-on-one. Casual. Hey Nia, can I ask you something? Off the record? She eyed me warily. Why? I hesitated. Because I think Paul's done this to more than one of us. And I think you might know something. She didn't respond right away. Just stared at me. Then she motioned toward the back stairwell. No cameras. No ears. We stood in that dim, echoey space, the hum of fluorescent lights above us. You found the folder, she said. I blinked. She nodded. I saw it too. 3 months ago. I kept my mouth shut. I was scared. Still am. I waited. Then she spoke low, fast, like ripping off a bandage. Paul cornered me during a security audit. Said if I approved a couple expense reports without flagging them, I'd get a 10 grand bonus. Said it was under the table. I knew it was wrong, but I had debt. Student loans. Rent. He knew. And you took it? I asked quietly. She looked down. I did. A long pause. But I kept copies. Screenshots. I couldn't delete them. I don't know why. Maybe I hoped someone else would find them too. I exhaled. Finally, would you be willing to send me what you have? She bit her lip, thought hard, then nodded once. I want him gone, she whispered. Just promise me I won't go down with him. You won't. That night, I got her files. More spreadsheets. Screenshots. Even a recorded voicemail, Paul, telling her, don't worry, no one will ever trace this. With that, Julian and I had everything we needed. We drafted the report, timeline, evidence, whistleblower backing, statements, even projected financial damages. We made 3 identical copies. One went to the board, one to HR, and the third? Straight to Paul's wife. It started with an emergency meeting, Friday, 8 a.m. sharp. An all-hands call from corporate HR. No warning, no agenda. Just a subject line that said, mandatory, attendance required. I logged in early. Screen blank. No chatter. Just silence. Then the screen flickered, and the head of HR appeared. Behind her, 2 men in suits. Not tech brothers. Not executives. Lawyers. Paul wasn't on the call. Neither was Ava. The HR rep looked pale. Her voice was stiff, rehearsed. As of this morning, she began, Paul Whitmore is no longer with the company. Ava Saunders has been placed on administrative leave pending a formal investigation. You could hear jaws hitting the floor in real time. There is an ongoing audit of financial records and employee complaints. If you have been affected or have information to contribute, please reach out through the following confidential channel. Then, the screen went black. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Julian. They got the package, he said. It's happening. Within hours, the ripple turned tidal. Paul's office was cleared. His name scrubbed from internal systems. Rumors shot through Slack like wildfire. Something about embezzlement, hush money, maybe even harassment. Then I got the email. From Paul's wife. No subject line. Just 3 words. Thank you. Finally, attached was a photo, Paul's suitcase on the front lawn, sitting in the rain. But it wasn't over yet, because 3 days later, Paul called me. Blocked number. Raspy voice. Cornered animal energy. You think you won? He snarled. You think they'll listen to you over me? I didn't say a word. You're nothing, he hissed. A part-timer. A nobody. I waited for him to finish. Then I said, calm as stone. You fired a nobody. And a nobody just destroyed your career. Click. I hung up. That was the last time I ever heard his voice. Breaches of conduct, violations of trust, and the big one, criminal investigation pending. Then HR started disappearing. 3 of them gone in 1 week. 1 resigned, another was reassigned, and the 3rd? Well, someone said she left the country. No joke. The office felt different. Quieter. Tense. Like everyone was waiting for something else to drop. And it did. The audit findings were leaked. Anonymously, of course. Turns out, Paul had been funneling money for 2 years. Ghost employees. Falsified reimbursements. Even some stock manipulation during a merger. Ava wasn't just helping, she'd forged signatures. Nia's. Julian's. Even the CFO's. The company's stock dipped. Not a crash, but a hard, public bruise. That's when the new interim CEO was brought in. And to my absolute shock, she asked to meet with me. Her name was Clarissa. Sharp, composed, and refreshingly no-nonsense. We met in a quiet conference room. No lawyers. No PR people. Just us. I read the report, she said. All of it, including your role. I nodded, unsure what was coming. You could have gone public. Blown this wide open. Tanked the company. Honestly, I said I almost did. She gave me a long look. Instead, you built a case. You protected people. You gave us a chance to fix this. She slid a folder across the table. Inside, a new contract. Full-time. Higher pay. Title bump. And at the bottom, Head of Internal Ethics and Integrity. I blinked. Wait, me. She nodded. If we're rebuilding, we're starting with people who did the right thing. You've got the instincts. And frankly, the guts. I didn't say yes immediately. I took a breath. Looked around the office, same walls, same desks, but suddenly, it didn't feel like a cage anymore. It felt like a second chance. So I signed. The congratulations were short-lived. My new office was small but clean. The view overlooked the east lot, not glamorous, but mine. I was 2 days into the new role, halfway through drafting new integrity protocols, when I got the email. No subject line. No sender name. Just a message. You're next. Attached was a photo. Me. At my desk. Taken that morning. My stomach dropped. The metadata was scrubbed. No origin. No trace. IT couldn't track it. But the message was clear, someone inside still had loyalties to Paul. Or worse, was still working for him. I didn't tell Clarissa right away. Instead, I dug. The next week, I started reviewing access logs. Not from the main systems, but from the maintenance side. Keycard swipes. Off-hours logins. Building Wi-Fi pings. And one stood out. A name I hadn't seen in months. Felix. Paul's old executive assistant. He'd been laid off during the budget cuts. Disappeared before the scandal broke. But his badge? Still active. Worse. He'd been in the building last night. I pulled security footage. Pixelated, low-res, but there he was, moving through the halls at 1:43 a.m. No lights. No staff. Just him, and a laptop bag. He still had admin-level access. Julian and I met that night, in a coffee shop across town. I thought he skipped town, Julian muttered, eyes scanning the footage. Apparently not. Then he's not just loyal, he's dangerous. If he's still covering for Paul, he's probably got copies. Maybe even blackmail material. We decided not to go to HR yet. Too risky. Instead, we tracked him. A burner email here. A hacked Slack account there. And then, a message appeared in my inbox. Not from Felix. From Paul. You should have stayed part-time. Attached this time was a zip file. I didn't open it. Not yet. Because I knew one thing. Whatever was inside wasn't a threat. It was bait. And if Paul wanted a final showdown, then that's exactly what he was going to get. I didn't sleep that night. The zip file from Paul sat on my desktop like a live grenade. I scanned it with every tool I had clean. No malware. No backdoor scripts. Just a folder labeled The Truth. Inside? Recordings. 5 audio files. Conversations between Paul and Ava, Paul and Felix, even one with HR quietly laughing about payouts, joking about who they could control and who they'd push out next. One file had my name in it. You think they'll come after us? Felix asked in the recording. Paul's voice, not unless that part-time clown grows a spine. I felt sick, but I also smiled, because this was gold. I messaged Julian. We go in tonight. Clarissa gave us one shot. One after-hours presentation to the board. Quiet. Off record. No press, no leaks. Just facts. We called it Project Glasshouse. I walked them through everything. The ghost employees. The manipulated bonuses. The fake invoices. Then I hit play. Paul's voice filled the boardroom. 5 minutes later, no one had a word left to say. Then came the twist. I pulled out my final slide. A live feed. Felix, sitting in a rented office suite across town, logging into the old admin portal. We'd installed a trace, just enough to monitor without alerting him. On the feed, he opened a folder labeled Insurance. Clarissa leaned forward. What's that? His blackmail stash, I said. Photos. Emails. Probably more. We didn't open it. Didn't need to. We traced the access and contacted federal cybercrime units an hour ago. Right on cue, my phone buzzed. Julian texted 2 words. He's in custody. That night, everything collapsed. Paul was arrested within 48 hours, fraud, corporate theft, conspiracy. Ava was indicted. Felix, too. The company issued a public statement, full transparency. Investors panicked, briefly, but then came the rebound. And me? I stayed. Clarissa asked me to build a new department, real ethics, real accountability. Julian came on board as consultant. Nia joined the team. We rebuilt the place from the inside. And Paul? Last I heard, he was fighting for bail. His wife divorced him. His name was removed from every award, every article, every inch of company history. He's a ghost now. And me? I'm no part-timer. I'm the reason he fell,